We are recording, and we will be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It is currently 8 a.m. like normal. It's 73 degrees out, and we got a high of 94, 95 degrees today. It's going to be like this for the rest of the week. I mean, I think the temperature is going to go up a degree every single day from here. So be prepared for a hot, hot day and a hot, hot weekend. So be prepared for that and be ready. Maybe this is the time to be enjoying some pool time, some pool action. So go out and try to get in the pool, enjoy some water time, or play some sports. But make sure you have water with you because it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those days, man. So, with that being said, traffic conditions going in Tulsa pretty fair. So no real traffic issues at the moment. So if you have not left yet, your route into Tulsa is going to be pretty clear. So enjoy your trip in. No real changes to the local calendar as far as upcoming events go. So just keep that in mind. I think that vacation Bible study group or Bible study school is still going on. You still got the Indian dance happening.
And then, of course, the artisans market is still going on. But that's it.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll push right on into the subject we were going to talk about, or we mentioned yesterday, which was the DEI Debunked is our topic today. So we're going to go right into this. So it is the McKinsey study, right, Chad?
That is correct.
So the McKinsey study is this famous study put together by, what was the research? It's the
McKinsey Company group. So yes, they put this together, and they are kind of like the go-to for all corporations for what they do. And their study basically said that
the more diverse your company is, the more money you're going to make.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And as it turns out that two professors, one from A&M and the other from
North Carolina,
straight up tried to replicate this study, and they couldn't do it. And also, the funny part is they refused to give them their data,
their methodologies.
There is no methodology to their madness.
So what it seems like to me, and what I think kind of what these professors discovered, the guy from A&M and the professor from North Carolina, what it turns out that they had their conclusion before they started the study. Because they're like, well, these companies, so again, they started the study because they go, well, all these companies like Nike, Under Armour, all of these big, Apple, Google, all of them, all these companies are super successful. They make a lot of money, and they're the most diverse in the world, or they have a large, diverse workforce. So they had their conclusion to go, well, these companies are super rich. They have a bunch of employees. They have a bunch of diverse employees. So they're going, DEI is working. So their conclusion was foregone when they started this study. So they're like, okay, so we just got to get there. Well, these two professors, the one from A&M and the one from North Carolina, were like, well, I guess we'll just reverse engineer this study and go backwards and try to work our way backwards because they won't give us their methodology. They won't give us what they did, their steps, their cycles. So they started and they just kind of backtracked it. And it turns out that they debunked it. They go, the end result is these companies aren't profitable because they're diverse. They're diverse because they're profitable. Again, it's like when Jeff Bezos started his Amazon company. The people who stuck with Jeff Bezos the entire time he was trying to build that corporation up, they weren't diverse. It wasn't a diverse thought group. It wasn't a diverse group of people. I'm not saying they couldn't have been diverse. Not saying there couldn't have been Asians, blacks, and whites, and Hispanics all thrown in. But the people who he was surrounding himself with, people who believed in him and believed in his goals, they weren't diverse, and it didn't have anything to do with the diversity. It just like they were all on the same page. They all had the same goal. They're like going, I believe in the vision that you have, so we're going to help you get there. And that's what you want when you're starting a company. That's what you want when you have a company. But once you get to the point where your company is so successful, you can dump money into stuff you don't need. Like, I guarantee you Jeff doesn't even know where half of his money goes. He's so wealthy. This is what happens. You start putting money in HR departments. You start putting money in these, I mean, this is a relatively new phenomenon, but like these DEI initiatives where we found out multiple times already where these these people who come in to do these DEI talks are scammers, are fraudsters. I mean, that lady charged what? Facebook $3 million and charged Nike like $3 million. And
our video, you can go watch our old video about this. We do a whole deep dive into what this lady was doing, like robbing Nike and Facebook blind with
giving a couple of talks, giving a couple of seminars to the entire company about how all white people are effectively racist and that there's nothing they can do about it, and the only thing they can do is just be informed of their racism. I mean, what? If pay me $3 million to do that job. I'll believe whatever you want me to believe for $3 million. That's what a lot of these people do. Like I said, now, granted, I'm sure this woman who did this is a real believer. She's a true believer in that racial DEI crap. You know, she's one of those people that go, yeah, all white people are racist, and we have to make them unlearn that racism. It's like, what are you talking about? We all discriminate. We all have prejudices. Now, it doesn't mean we discriminate against racial groups. We don't hate groups of people. We might hate mentalities and cultures that come with it. But I mean, like, we have friends of all racial groups. All I think, we're in the Army, for God's sakes. That is a super diverse group of people. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have a guy from Africa in our OCS company. I mean, all throughout basic training, we had dudes who barely spoke a lick of English. Were like from Puerto Rico. Barely spoke a lick of English, but they were all my friends. We all had the same goal, the same objective, make it through basic training. And now we're all on the same team serving the Army. So the goal, that's why the Army can work like it does, because the goal is the same. We're trying to, and like I said, everybody has their own reasons for being in, but the overarching goal for the Army stays the same. So, yeah, it's nonsense to think that, I mean, again, this is what happens. This is bad science right here. Bad methodology. They started with their conclusion.
Yeah. They found, all they did was, it seems, is they found companies that were the most diverse, that were also super successful at the time that they were diverse, and they didn't really look up how they got successful. There's like, oh, they have a diverse range of people here, so therefore they must be, and they're wealthy, so therefore they must be successful. Whereas if you go look at the methodology, it turns out that they weren't very diverse when they were first starting up and making all this money. It was only they started thinking of diversity and expanding after they had gotten wealthy. Because once you've made your money, then you can actually start focusing on things that you want to focus on.
And that's the thing, too. Like, when you are a startup, especially a young, hungry company, you don't surround yourself with a diverse group of people. You surround yourself with people who are on the same page. You surround yourself with people who can get stuff done. Like go-getters. That you want go-getters on your team. You don't necessarily have to have the smartest or the most successful. You just have to have people who can accomplish the task. It's like, I'm giving you a goal. Get it done. That's it. So, it's nuts. And again, with all of these DEI initiatives coming in from investing companies, places like BlackRock, we've talked about this before. There's no incentive for companies to be profitable anymore, or at least CEOs. Like, the CEOs of companies, like, again, look at Disney right now. Disney is tanking. But guess what? The CEO can still bonus himself because of the investors from places like BlackRock, because he's getting a bunch of women in there. He's getting a bunch of diversity hires in there. The company can go net negative, but the CEO can still get bonused because of the DEI initiatives that have been put in place by these corporations like BlackRock that are investors in their company. So it's like, Disney, we lost $3 billion this year, but the CEO bonused himself an additional $32 million because he hired X amount of black women. He hired X amount of people of color. He hired X amount of trans people. And he's tickled pink. Like, there is no incentive for CEOs to do well anymore. How awesome is it to live in that kind of a world, to live in that kind of environment where you can literally be driving the bus off a cliff with the entire company and all the staff in the bus with you and being like, I'm still hiring the right people, but I'm going to drive this sucker right off a cliff. What a luxury it must be to be in that position now. I mean, there is no performance bonus anymore. I mean, like you don't need like performance based skill set gone. It's like you net negative us 3 million. We're 3 billion in the hole now, sir.
Well, I mean, get all these people talking about how like you know hard work and effort can't get you anywhere. With programs like this, no, it cannot, because
Absolutely.
it only bases everything on race or skin color or uh, what
Your sexual orientation. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's the issue. Is like, yeah, when hard work was the measurement for all this stuff, and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, with everybody, any leftist hates that saying.
As long as you never quit.
Yeah. But now with stuff like this, it doesn't matter, because they're only looking at one thing: your sexual orientation or your skin color. So yeah, you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps when if someone's only hiring for that particular reason or looking to advance or promote people for that particular reason. Yeah, hard work doesn't mean jack.
So we were watching. I don't know. You don't have to be a fan of Matt Gaetz, but Matt Gaetz is one of the. He's a guy that works in Congress right now, and he is one of the. I don't know what district is Matt Gaetz a congressman for.
I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I just know that he's one of the up and young Republican, congressmen.
So Matt Gaetz was interviewing the guy who's in charge of California.
Is that what this video is that you sent me?
That's not Matt Gaetz, but we could play that and we can come back to the. But we'll come back to Matt Gaetz in a minute. We'll play this this Tim Pool video right quick. This is Tim Pool. This is who I watch and who I get a lot of my my news topics and sources from for the local show here. So I'm a big fan of Tim. I like what he has to say. So whenever you're ready, Chad, just let it fly.
Right, you got it.
Lawsuit we were approaching, and the first question we get from the lawyer was not, is the law on your side? He goes, I see the law is on your side. Which jurisdiction do you want to file this in? Because that'll determine whether you win or not. So these corporations are probably looking at it like, okay, do we operate in California and New York? We do? Okay, then we have to base everything off of the standard of the court and the judges of California and New York, and not what the law says. So their lawyers, I would imagine, are going to them and saying, if you engage in DEI, which is blatantly illegal, you're good. California and New York, despite the law, will still protect you. And that's where your biggest pain vectors are going to be. Anybody who files any claim will, if we can, move it to those venues so that we win, and we'll take that path. Yeah, we have.
There you go. Again, another unforeseen consequence of DEI, how the law is applied. So again, a corporation can be like, hey, we're not hiring you because you're white. Well, if they're in California and New York, where they're not going to apply the law fairly, they'll be like, hey, guess what? I know it's against the law to discriminate on hiring practice based on skin color, but you're white, so it doesn't matter. We're setting this precedent in the court right now. Now, hopefully they could go to a higher court and get that repealed. But again, these corporations have lawyers who can hold up these court cases for years. So you might not ever get restitution from this for a long time. They'll just be like, eat this crap sandwich and move on with your life.
This is why a lot of people keep saying like words like civil war or national divorce or whatever, is because how can it be that
we have a two-tier justice system?
Yeah, well, two-tier justice system. I was just going to say one state will abide by federal law, and then another state's like, nope, we're good on that.
Yeah,
because it's illegal to hire somebody for or discriminate somebody against skin color. Well, that's exactly what all this DEI stuff is.
But again, but with the current cultural zeitgeist surrounding DEI, white people technically can't be discriminated against because they are the people who are in power. We're 60 or 70% of the population. So again, the dumb argument you get from people of color is that racism is privilege plus power. Well, I don't think if you're a white person who works at a corporation and you can be let go or not hired based on your color of your skin, that's not a power. That's not a position of power. Now, and the argument that they'll give is, well, the structural oppression of the past justifies it because he's white and he benefited from a white culture. Folks, that's nonsense. That's a horrible argument. That's a way for you to justify something bad happening to somebody else because something bad happened to your ancestors 100, 300 years ago. So you're saying rules for thee, but not for me. I mean, that is the crux of the argument. And again, what Tim Pool was talking about is so true. These, depending on where you file your case, again, that's why Trump was prosecuted in New York and nowhere else. Because nobody else would have brought that trial. I mean, that's why you had people who were anti-Trump real estate moguls like he is, who did not like Trump and were like, whoa, 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 this whole Mar-a-Lago, overvaluing Mar-a-Lago property thing is scary. I don't want to do business in New York if that's what they're going to do. Because they'll come after me next, and you have all these politicians and people in power going, no, we're just doing it to him because he was the president, and presidents can't do that. And they go, but you're setting precedent for it. You're setting legal precedent for anybody to be brought up on charges for this.
Yeah, which means that all it takes is one other business that's fighting for a particular, lease or land area to make an accusation against them.
And then be friends, be cozy with whatever judge or whatever politician's in charge in that district. And they go, hey, that guy needs to go. Check his records. Again, it's what the Obama administration did against conservative
businesses.
Not just conservative businesses, conservative charities and NGOs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he targeted them. They go, we're going to target you, and we're going to weaponize the IRS against these people. And, of course, I remember having the argument going, what about when Obama weaponized? And they go, he didn't do that. He weaponized it he did it to everyone. They just got caught. It's like, no, when I talked to him, it's like, none of them got caught for anything. He just told them to target them to make their lives harder, so they'd have to dig up tons of paperwork from years and years ago. We're going to check. We know you've only been an organization for like 5 years, but we need the last 20 years of paperwork. Chop, chop.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what you're talking about here. We're talking about the weaponization of government against your political rivals, and the Democrats are wonderful at this. And then we're getting back on the Matt Gaetz topic. So Matt Gaetz was interviewing that guy from, he was the DEI advocate for California.
He was the public, he's for all of California, he represents the, what's it called? Their retirement funds. He's the retirement fund person for all of the workers of California. And he is only donating through DEI. They're advocating to put their money and investments in DEI friendly companies. So if it's a company's not DEI friendly, they're literally bullying them out of these contracts.
I see.
So that's what it is.
So yeah, Matt Gaetz was talking to this guy and he goes, what evidence do you have to show that these DEI initiatives
are good investments?
Are good investments. And he goes, and literally the guy's just going, I've read thousands of studies that show, and he's like, and Matt Gaetz like, what study? Give me one that I personally can pull up and look at,
and
so I can believe you. And he goes, I couldn't give you a study off the top of my head
because I've read so many.
Yeah, I read at least 5 studies a day, and I've read thousands in my life because I'm a businessman. I see this stuff all the time. And which
he's an investment guy, and yet it turns out that Matt Gaetz brings the receipts, and he's like, here is Florida's investment ratio for their retirement funds versus California's. Yours is down 2 to 3% compared to Florida's. So obviously you're not being honest about this.
Mm-hmm. And then he asked that guy personally, goes, you were trying to get up higher into an organization, and they passed on you multiple times. Why did they pass on you, and why did you give up? Was it because of diversity inclusion? You were just not one of the candidates to be considered? Because you're qualified. You've been in this field for a long time. Why aren't you more qualified than somebody else? And you gave up because you said, I'm not a good candidate for this field.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't even go into why he wasn't a good candidate.
Yep.
So, I mean, these people don't have an ounce of humility within them. He could have just said, yeah, I'm not a good candidate because I'm not a diverse person. So, this is nuts, folks. Absolutely nuts. This DEI thing, it is a scam. It's getting unqualified people put in positions that they are not qualified for, and they are running people into the ground. Or it's setting up people to scam corporations. Again, these corporations, they're so... Again, Nike dumped how many billions into BLM? We know that BLM, that lady bought 7 mansions, private jets. Yeah. That money didn't go back into the black community. It helped her build her empire. And now she stepped out.
Yeah. And then not to mention they sued any other organization that would remotely say anything about Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. It's they interviewed all those black people that whenever they go, yeah, Black Lives Matter showed up, promised all this stuff, and we ain't seen a dime from them. Mm-hmm. So especially people in the black community, you have to be careful when people come into your communities and promise you things, and then when you don't get anything, don't be shocked, because when they're promising you the world, you're never going to get it. Again, this is why paradise is never going to come on earth. You have to have faith in God and something greater than yourself. But the problem is the vast majority of these people are like, well, we'll get communism or we'll get Marxism going, and then things will work out for us. It's like, no, it's not. You're just going to surrender more and more power to people who don't care about you. So yeah, this is what's scary. Again, Chad and I were having a conversation we were in a meeting with people who were telling us why the rates and things like that were going up here in the state. And then Chad asked for justification for it, and none of them really gave really good reasons for it. But it was a diverse group of people giving this little seminar to us, though. But they didn't have any real concrete answers to give us. They had the company talking points. But when we could go down into specifics, they would not get specific with us.
I don't have the information on that right now. Let me get back to you.
Yeah, and again, you only talk to these people in these seminars once, and they only come in for these online seminars, and they disappear, and you never see them again. We'll get that information back out to you. No, they won't. It's like you type in, we're never going to see you again. So that's the way it is right now. These companies are losing money, but all these CEOs are paying themselves more because they are all paid for by BlackRock, or funded by all these DEI initiatives are funded by BlackRock that hire the right people not being diverse people. Mm-hmm. And then they bonus themselves regardless of how much money the company loses that year. So think about that. All these major corporations, all these CEOs can drive these companies off a cliff, but they're still going to make a couple $1 million in bonus this year because they hired the quote-unquote right people, the diverse people, the right people for my quota so I could bonus myself. So what these CEOs don't even have an obligation to do right by the companies anymore. They're going to do what's right by them, and they're going to do what's right by what the board of directors thinks is the future, but is not. It's scary times we live in, man. Uncertain times. But yeah, there's a lot of people. Again, there's a lot of money to be made right now, especially if you are in the DEI camp, because we've already seen it. Lots of these folks are scamming millions out of all these companies, and that loss isn't going to hurt Nike. It's not going to hurt Facebook. It's not going to hurt Google. They're like, we'll happily lose money to this so we can virtue signal because we get a tax write-off for that. So again, this is what happens when corporations get too big. They're going to destroy themselves because they don't care about where the money's going. They don't care about who they hire. Again, this is the most important thing to them now. Making sure that our workforce is diverse. We don't even have to be on the same page. We don't even have to have the same goal. The goal of these people who are hiring as diversity unions are trying to educate and indoctrinate and re-educate all these employees going, you are the problem, and you have to unlearn your racism and bigotry. So if that's the primary goal of the people you're hiring, it's obviously not to turn a profit. It's obviously not to put out a superior product. It's obviously not to capitalize on the sales market. What is the goal at the end of the day? And I guarantee you, if you ask the workforce of these people who are doing this, they're going to be like, I don't know what the company goal is, but my goal is this. It's ridiculous. We'll hire these outside consultants to come in and scold your workforce, to teach them a lesson. I don't know, folks. It's ridiculous. The DEI scam is here. It is real, and it doesn't seem like anything's going to get turned around anytime soon because the people who are in charge are just burying their heads in the sand going, we just want to look good. We don't care about... I mean, but like I said, when you make that much money, you don't really care about profits. Like, what's going to happen to them? If the company goes bankrupt, they're just going to sell their assets, and then they're going to be like, oh, we're fine. So just think about that. Think about the future of DEI and equity inclusion, and a lot of these places are going to get run into the ground. But it's going to feel good because these people get to virtue signal all the way until the end.
They're virtue signal themselves right into the poorhouse.
Yeah. Well, not them personally. Like, you know, it's like
the economy keeps going the way it does, they will.
Yeah, but they'll still have hard tangible assets in their stock shares and whatnot. They might not be worth as much, but they'll still get something for them.
True.
So, it's, I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, is there anything else we want to end it on a higher note, or do you got
I mean, the only thing I've got is that one's low note. This one's kind of funny if you just want to bring...
Yeah, so we'll go back and talk about what we were talking about yesterday. So pull up that Babylon Bee, and we'll try to end on a funny note.
Let me pull back up my computer.
So, again, I'm a huge fan of the Babylon Bee, and Chad's going to pull up this this little post from them, and it's kind of relevant to what we were talking about yesterday as far as the skid marks on the Pride streets go. So I don't know if you can see it, but
hang on one second.
Get rid of that lower third. Read it when you can.
All right. It says here, man arrested for urinating on new Pride urinal.
Again, Babylon B's comedy and humor is right on point. Like, we install these urinals in the bathroom. We got rainbow flags in them, and they're Pride-themed urinals. And the guy goes in there, well, I got to pee, so police officer comes in, arrests him, be like, you are under arrest for desecrating the Pride flag. Again, Babylon B's social commentary is just spot on. It's perfect, on point every single time, and I wouldn't be surprised if something like that were to happen. I mean, that's the thing. Babylon Bee is satire, but I mean, eventually their satire becomes reality. Because that's what they said. They would post stuff, and you'd be like, that would never happen. And now we live in the clown world where, yeah, I guess that kind of stuff does happen and will happen eventually.
Yeah. The weird part about the Babylon Bee is that their predictions, while satire, seem to come true.
Eventually.
It's very strange.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that's about all we got for you today, folks. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. And we are signing off. God bless y'all.
See you later, everybody.